Hello, welcome. Are people actually here, I wonder, today? I did an extremely poor job of advertising this, but it is in the same time and same place as it has been. Not that the place really affects you, but the internet place is the same place. Good. Okay, well, there's Brianna's apparently not here, but enough to actually chat it, so that's good. How are folks doing? How did we get through the week for the Americans? There was a holiday this week for anybody who works in direct to consumer retail consumption. There was a stressful day this week and more to come. So, Latitude is here with the clothing comments as usual. This is a very good sweatshirt. Thank you. This is, I believe it's actually originally from ModCloth. However, I found a picture of it online and like years after it was on ModCloth. And I figured out what the thing about that drives me nuts about ModCloth is they often don't credit the company because they do some of their own brand stuff, but like mostly they curate kind of like a collection, and they will like name them things that have nothing to do with the actual brand. Anyway, so it can be a lot of work to discover who actually made a piece of clothing on ModCloth. But I figured out who manufactured this, and I stalked it on eBay until I could find it. I believe they still have it, but not in the cool split colors. I think the most important part of it is that it has a double zip that goes, which I have it for skating. And this is a hoodie as well. It can pop out into a hoodie. It's not, pop out is maybe a strong word because it takes a lot of work to get it back in there. The donut on the left looks heckin' good. Is this the left one? This one is guava cheesecake, which is the one I was supposed to have last week, but accidentally doubled up. And then this is the one that everybody, for some reason I don't remember, convinced me that we would do today, but I think it's because it's like, it is the donut of 2020. It's also like kind of melting, but I feel like that makes, I don't know, it had powdered sugar on the top, so it's kind of just like looking like a hot mess now. But this is the Monte Cristo donut, and Monte Cristo is apparently a sandwich. This is a vegan version of it, so it contains vegan turkey, vegan cheese, something else, and then it's fried, and then it has powdered sugar and cranberry on top. There's so much going on. I agree, the melting only adds to the effect. Yeah, everybody pressured me into getting this last week, so I went down and got it this morning. And I will say that the person who works at the donut shop, whose opinion of what I will like I trust the most, said that he tried it first without the sweet toppings on it, and he found it pretty good, but he tried it with the sweet toppings and actually thought it was better. So I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of weird mix. Melting. If only 2020 would melt faster. Okay, I probably shouldn't admit this on the internet, but I'm having this series of feelings about the year ending, and also I'm so happy that we're finally getting to the point where it looks like we might kind of be getting through this. There's really good vaccine news. I saw a prediction today that they think by mid next year we will have most of the United States immunized. I don't know. That sounds very ambitious to me. But that being said, we did manage to mount a worldwide campaign to get people vaccinated for polio, and that was way before we had the abilities that we did now. And I know there's a lot of vaccine trials and everything. Anyway, I'm trying to be very optimistic, but I keep having these feelings about the year ending that are not functional feelings to have, where I'm you didn't use this weird year well enough, which is not the advice I would give to a single other person. I would say you did what you had to do. If you managed to survive this year, that was the only goal for 2020. But I keep having these feelings of oh, if we get through this and I haven't made XYZ changes, then I've not used it well. I don't know. It's very silly. You do see Cattail. Dora has commuted into the office for her job. She heard that we were chatting here. Latitude says, I am stocking the Pusheen Christmas sweater in a similar manner. That's what I did. I stocked that Pusheen Christmas sweater for like a year and change, which is how I ended up buying it in July. My advice with the Pusheen Christmas sweater, that one is pretty oversized on me and it's an extra small. So my recommendation is just be aware that it is going to be bigger than you expect. I think that's because it's like gender neutral sizing. And like, it's nice, cozy Christmas sweaters are nice to have oversized anyway. Like nobody wants a form fitting Christmas sweater. The irony is that my only other like holiday sweater is a London Underground one. And I was cheap. So I ended up buying it in the kids version. I got like the kids extra large and that one pretty much is form fitting on me. Brianna says that does sound very ambitious. Yeah, good news does just feel like a trick. I'm sure that I shouldn't be talking to the internet about this, and I should probably, like, be talking to a therapist about this. Yeah. Emily says, 2020 is a fake year. No one is counting that global life resume gap. I know. I think that this is... One of my problems is that a lot of the media I consume are people in the same business of me. So, like, a lot of my social media is not actually my IRL friends or even, like, my internet friends. A lot of my, like, Twitter feed and Instagram are people in the same niche as me that also run, like, online businesses and also do media stuff. And watching people, like, make choices and pivot, which they're just doing to like survive this year. But I feel like I keep looking at people that are being what I view as like hyper functional this year and just keep being like, wow, you really had it figured out in a way that I did not have it figured out. I'm like proud that I managed to do but I dropped a lot of balls this year as a lot of us did. And it's just been I'm going to be happy to see 2020 come through. I'm so appreciative for the Oh My Dollar community this year. Like, one, we started doing these live streams every week at the beginning of lockdown thinking it would be like a cute thing, but I feel like it's been, for me, and at least a few other people have told me, one of the only things that keeps them knowing what day of the week it is. So I have been very appreciative to like have this. I do actually have some economic stuff to talk about, but I kept it pretty. I didn't promise a lot for this live stream, as you probably noticed. I run a small business, and it is Small Business Catterday, as I like to say. So I have had just a ton of work to do. So yeah. Rural says only about half seem to be agreeing to get immunized. I keep telling myself that'll at least mean those of us who want the vaccine will get it sooner. I think that's a good mix of probably practical and also I guess it's better. I think it's better for all of us to be reframing things not as setbacks but as positives. So I think that's a good way to say that. I will also say that like I think where you are in the country impacts like and the communities you're surrounded by is probably impacting for everyone their view of how many people are actually going to get immunized. One of the things that I run into is being in the like, a lot of my IRL friends are Portlanders, and like so many Portlanders do fall kind of on that like so liberal that they're almost to the side of conservative as far as libertarian and no government intervention. And because of that, I am seeing a lot more people that are very skeptical about any kind of vaccines. And I also think it's very valid to be concerned about like these vaccine trials have come out so fast. So yeah. Wow, great comment highlight pop-ups on the stream. Hello. Come join us. We've always got these. Usually, I mean, sometimes Aaron isn't really on it. We'll see how much this continues. If what I am hoping to have happen in 2021, which, best laid plans, 2020 has taught us anything. But if I end up moving to London for a year, I'm going to have to figure out how to run these streams on my own. Also, we're probably going to change the streams to no longer be at 5 p.m. Pacific, because that is 1 a.m. in London, and I ain't doing that. So, although last time I was living in London, I was there for a month, and I never quite adjusted. I had a much later sleep schedule, but I still feel like I probably wouldn't be up for doing stuff at 1 a.m. So, Latitude says, I also have really enjoyed these live streams. They are tiny parties, or the equivalent of me going to a library event. Yeah, I think as someone that has had a lot of community events for, like, volunteering or work in my life in quote-unquote normal years, it's been nice to feel like we have, like, a little bubble, to a little place that we know that we're going to be at almost every weekend, unless Lily randomly gets sick. So, London, do it. Well, that is going to be up to the provost for the program that I am applying to. Although right now it's up to me to finish actually submitting it. I'm like so close. I am having a friend in the UK who's a journalist in the UK actually Brit pick my, to use a fan fiction term, she is Brit picking my article, my sample article, and my personal statement to make sure that I think I got everything that's like a British. I turned all the Americanisms into Britishisms, but obviously since I'm applying to a journalist program, it's not there when writing is very important in the application, and so I am trying to make sure I actually use the language that I would be expected to use in my papers and stuff there. So I'm converting a lot of pals to the OMD lifestyle in the past week with photos of your wardrobe/outfits also. Oh, let me tell you, I was working on, I tried to do a thread of like small businesses that I really like. And I was going through all of these wardrobe pictures, and it just made me really convinced that I really want to run a style Instagram account. The thing is, I don't think I have any time in my life to also run a style Instagram account, because I feel like the outfit selfies I'm willing to put on Twitter are not Instagram quality. So I'll put stuff on stories, but I don't feel like confident about creating Instagram quality stuff, but I fantasize about it pretty regularly. Joe says, it means I see people outside my household. Otherwise, no human contact. I'm a little concerned that the only people you see outside your human contact is also halfway around the world through video, but same. So, outfit of the day story highlight. Yeah, I mean, I do kind of already do that on my Instagram. I want to have a feed curated with my outfits also as a motivation of actually dressing properly, because I start to slack. Public accountability of, I got a full-length mirror at the beginning of lockdown primarily to make myself take outfit selfies. So, yeah. I think stories are like all the fun parts of Instagram with none of the business. It's true. Although I sell quite a lot through Instagram stories, so it does still have business in it. I'm still really upset with Instagram business right now, which is Facebook business. This is so dumb, but Bourbon, which I have some of here, Bourbon is non-alcoholic. That is the point of it. However, they wouldn't approve it. They would not approve it to be one of the shoppable things on the Oh My Dollar feed or in my Facebook shop, because as a product, so I can like tag other products like stickers and everything. Anything that's in my shop, I can tag on Instagram to be shoppable and like actually like, do that in ads and stuff, which drives a lot of the traffic to my website. The Bourbon, they would not approve to be a taggable thing. And I, a month ago, told them, no, this is not alcoholic. Please review this. And I asked them to review it in a flag because they thought it was alcohol and that it needed to be age restricted. And I was like, I'm not going to age restrict my cat finance account. And they just won't approve it. So I've heard nothing back. Normally, I will say, anyway, I have issues with them. So, how are people doing? What is going on right now? I'm just, I'm not really doing much. I don't have much to say today. I wanted to talk a little bit about Black Friday numbers and, like, the struggle of being in a consumer-based economy and wanting the economy to do well while inherently recognizing the issues with capitalism, which is probably a lot to unpack on a Saturday night. So I definitely used my own highlight to remember I'd owned a whole shirt I'd forgotten about. Sometimes that happens to me. I was looking back and I was like, damn, you were doing well at dressing up in the summer. And I feel like I've started to fall off of that. So not dead. That is a big enough win for now. Agreed. That's really all we need in this week. It's better than some people in my circles have fared this week, unfortunately. So yeah. Latitude is emergency withdrawing from all my classes. Hey, I know that was really hard for you to decide to do. I hope that it actually is going to happen and be okay for you. I think that it's the right choice. We had a lot of people that chorused in on the forums to say that they had made those choices in the past and it ended up being the right decision. Honestly, taking care of your health, your mental health included, always reaps rewards in the long term. So I am very glad that you're doing it. And hopefully that means that you're gonna like, you'll figure out the next step after you get there. Joe says, we're eating chocolate chip pancakes and I discovered a large stash of chocolate chips when we emptied the pantry. That's incredible. So are you just going to continue to eat the stash of chocolate chips, or are you going to turn them into things? Because there's two choices there and they're both valid. Like, are you going to use this as a reason to make things with chocolate chips in them, or are you just going to use this as an excuse to eat chocolate chips out of the bag? Rachel is doing good. Had a brunch with a couple in our bubble this morning, working on some coding stuff now. You're working on coding stuff on Saturday night? You're not in Australia, right? You're in the US. I mean, props. More productivity than I am. It's like the darkness, the sheer darkness of the Portland winter. I do not feel like I can get anything done after 5 p.m. now because it's already been pitch black for like half an hour and pretty dark for like an hour and a half. And I am just, This happens every winter. The thing is, every winter I normally have places to go and people to see and lights on my bike. And while I might be a lot less, like, you know, in Portland, it's quite normal to have fair weather friends, not so much that they aren't your friend when times are bad for you, just that they're only friends that come out to things in the summer because we have dark, wet winters here. However, I still usually had work events on a commute to work and stuff like that. And, man, I really forgot what it's like when you have nowhere to go, no one to see, and you should not go anywhere or see anyone, and it is dark this early, and you have no commute to break up the day. It's rough. That's my feelings. Rachel says, with the couple in our bubble. Yeah, you're only allowed 6 people in Oregon, regardless of whether or not they're in your bubble or not, so... Getting some overtime in this weekend. I am so looking forward to the end of Muni season. Ooh, yeah, overtime at this time of year. You had a lot of overtime this time last year, right? Like, this is like a kind of a normal thing. Hopefully that means that you get some extra money for end of year, which is nice, even if it does mean that you have to work really late. I was looking up numbers for this story, and the front page of Wall Street Journal said that public transit agencies are rolling back cuts and cutting services and cutting staff which is, to be fair, like all public transit agencies have extremely reduced loads. But I just had a moment of like, oh, is my job going to be safe? It's annoying because most of the work that I work on is it still has to happen whether or not the buses are running more or less frequently. Like, in fact, COVID has meant that we've ended up having more regular changes, because what I work on is predominantly like maps and schedules and stuff like that, and getting it into Google Transit and Apple Maps. And I just was like, as they've been trying to figure out what their new service schedules are, and we work in a lot of like smaller towns that have academic agencies, and I just kept having those feelings of like, okay, well, we are doing more work because agencies are constantly switching their schedules around as the schools open, reopen, cancel, whatever, or like ski buses and stuff like that in ski towns that like don't know if the ski season is going to be open or if people are going up and down the mountain. Anyway, we're doing more work, but because I'm a subcontractor for transit agencies, I am a little worried, just a smidge worried about my day job right now. So 23 days to solstice, and then the dark starts getting better. That is true. I would say that it still takes till like February or March to start feeling like it gets any better. Because what's really sad about this is awful already as far as darkness, and we still have a month to go. So, every year is just a horrible slog until the year turns. Yes. Amanda is going to use the overtime to pay off a credit card. I mean, that sounds great and like a very fiscally smart decision. I'm not even sure what time it gets dark now because my workplace doesn't have windows, though I leave at 5 and it's pitch black. Yeah, I have a window right next to my desk, but I feel like it sneaks up on me anyway. But yeah, working in windowless places is really rough. Last winter, I was working at a Starbucks in a mall, and so we were like 100% windowless, like deep in a mall. And I obviously got there way before it was bright outside because Starbucks opens at 6. And then like I would get out at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I would be like, oh, it's already getting dark. Great. Yeah, no drive-through for you. Yeah, I worked Christmas last year. I worked at a different like drive-through Starbucks on Christmas, which was, I don't know how the partners at drive-throughs do it. It's really chaotic and stressful and hard. I will say working Christmas at Starbucks was amazing. I made so much in tips that day, and everyone was really nice. So it's weird not knowing the weather, like going on a break and saying, oh, it's snowing in October. Yeah, every time I've worked somewhere without windows, it really does feel that way when you kind of emerge and you're like, what is happening? I've also worked at a lot of places that have excessive amounts of windows, and in the winter that ends up being a different problem, which is that you've got that low winter sun and it's like directly in your eyes. So yeah, I worked at a gym that was essentially like a giant glass box, and I worked at the front desk, and it didn't matter when it was in the day. As soon as the light was up, it was just this low sun that came directly into my eyes no matter where I stood. And I had to clean all those windows. So Mitch is loving the cotton candy hoodie. Thank you. It is it was sought out intentionally. That's all I'm going to say about that. It was actually mainly for skating, but RIP skating. So, do we want to talk about Black Friday and the inherent struggle of consumerism, or should I just try this weird donut? What do you all think? I feel like this is bait because normally you tell me all to eat a donut, but discussing the inherent like struggles of capitalism is also a favorite topic of this group. Mitch says Black Friday is dumb. Okay, here's what I'm going to say to that. Black Friday is theoretically dumb, although the history of Black Friday is very interesting and has to do with the gold standard. Fun fact. But Black Friday is like, it sucks to be stuck in this like consumerism, capitalism idea that the only way the economy survives is by spending money. And the like drive to get things at this like discounted rate and participate in this capitalist culture is really stressful. That being said, this has been a absolutely terrible year for small retail businesses. And I think one of the like powerful and great parts about this weekend is, that Black Friday originally got its name from it is the time in the year that retail businesses are finally in the black. And I will say that even as like a super small business owner, I do so many sales at this time of year, and I don't rely on my business as my full-time job anymore, but there are a lot of people that have worked their butts off in small businesses to figure out how to pivot and actually survive this year using the holiday season. And it is such a delight to be in the position where I do have some money to spend and I'm able to use the excuse of literally every single store that I like having a sale for Small Business Saturday or Cyber Monday, and be able to funnel some of the money I make into small businesses. And I don't really give gifts for the holidays, so I'm not doing a lot of gift buying, but I am trying to stock up on things that otherwise I would want to get, simply because I know how important this is for small businesses. Some of the interesting trends that we've seen is that online shopping this year is up 52% from last year during Black Friday, and it is the second biggest online shopping day of all time after Cyber Monday last year. It is going to be interesting to see how that actually shakes out. The expectation is that Cyber Monday is going to be like way higher this year. However, as we all know, we've been seeing Black Friday sales and Amazon Prime move to like October this year as opposed to July last year, because they just made Prime Day a holiday that they just made up and they can just make it whenever they want. But the like, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how that actually shakes out, because a lot of people have been shifting to consumerism kind of earlier in the month. But I think what is very fascinating about the numbers is that it was not just the normal Black Friday stuff that you see. It wasn't just big box retailers, buy a PlayStation, buy a Nintendo Switch, stock up on a tablet. It was not the mad rush for TVs of risking life and limb at big box stores. People were buying things that they would normally not buy, online. Online grocery sales yesterday were up 529% from any other average day this month. So people are using this as an excuse to both get discounts on things that they would otherwise be buying. Alcohol was a really interesting one. Online alcohol sales were actually really high. And I think a lot of people are, they're not in the position to go and do some of the retail spending they would normally be doing, but they are trying to take the money that they would be spending on consumable goods, like shampoo and stuff like that. Like, I get shampoo from a small business. They're trying to find a way to channel that in so that the businesses, I'm just really concerned that the small businesses that I know and love in my community and online won't make it through this year. And so any way that I, with my privilege and still having an income, can funnel that in is, I think, really great. So every year I start a don't go to store in December on Black Friday. Last year was the first I didn't make an exception for groceries, but then it pretty much extended all year. That's pretty awesome. I just went off on a rant and everybody was like, "Oh no." Okay. I will eat the donut now. So, Erin, will you look up the description of this donut? Wait, maybe I'll look it up. Because I want to make sure we accurately capture it. So this is a Monte Cristo donut, and I waited till the last possible time in the month. This is going out at the end of the month, and everybody convinced me that apparently we're gonna do it. What is it made of? It is made of turkey and cheese inside a French toast glazed donut with a dollop of house-made cranberry jalapeno jam on top. There is just so much going on. Okay. It smells so weird. And it's also all vegan. Description just says confusing adaptation of a decidedly unvegan thing. Yep. So it's based on a sandwich. That's what people said. It's some kind of sandwich. You're not gonna like this. I don't think you're gonna want a donut tax on it. It's very sweet on the outside. The normal sandwich is deep fried? What makes this a donut, then? Like, what makes this different than the sandwich? Does it have powdered sugar on the top? Very hard to cut. Okay. This is the cross section with cheese, but none of the turkey in it. It's very hard to cut. Wait, I didn't think Aaron was allowed. Aaron doesn't do refined sugar, but he started taking very small donut taxes. Just because I think it's torture to hear me describe them. The normal jam is raspberry. Yeah, I'm very excited about the cranberry jalapeno. I don't hate this. I actually kind of like it. It is definitely not the same as the everything bagel donut of disaster. Here, I'm gonna give you a really good cross section, so you can see it's like it looks like a sandwich inside. It's like stacked. I don't know if it's gonna be I don't know if it's gonna be like tofurkey, maybe. Okay, well, you're very demanding, and I don't think you're gonna get it. Oh, I like the jam on the top. I don't know if this is a Tofurkey brand or not. They're a Portland company. Well, they're Hood River, near Portland. Weirdly, it works. I guess that's why this sandwich is a thing. I actually quite like it. It's not... I wouldn't describe it as a savory donut. I would describe it as a French toast donut with, like, sharp, savory flavors on the inside. I think that's, like, the most accurate description. It's surprisingly good, though. I approve of this. All right. Should we go for the guava cheesecake? I thought this might have to, like, cleanse my palate of that one. That was infinitely better than the everything bagel donut that caused me such great distress. All right, this is the guava cheesecake. I'm pretty excited. I don't actually know what part of it is cheesecake. It just tastes like a donut? Worst donut review ever. It doesn't seem to have cheesecake inside. I thought I would have cheesecake inside.
There's like a layer.
Is there a layer? No, it's just fluffy donut inside. I have to get some of this, like, crust on the top, though, before I... It's good, but it's, like... It's just a donut. I don't know where the cheesecake is coming from, really. It just tastes like it's, like a fluffy donut, and then it's got icing on the top. I hate to admit, I don't really know what the flavor guava is. Like, I've had it plenty of times, but I don't think I've alienated the guava flavor by itself enough to know if it tastes like guava. It is good. Both of these were good. I actually think I might like this one more. But I don't know if that's just because my expectations were so low and it exceeded my expectations. And so now yeah. Yeah, I think you're correct, Emily. Like, it just wasn't a fair fight to have this. I don't really know if there is guava flavor because I don't really know what. I mean, there's a flavor. Is it guava?
I like guava. Let me try.
I don't feel like I know. What does a guava look like? Now introduces the stage of the live stream where you guys give me incorrect facts and I believe them. What does a guava look like? I know it's a tropical fruit, so I'm assuming I've seen it when I lived in tropical climates, but I don't actually know what a guava looks like. I'm sure I've had one. It's a vegetable. 100% guava flavor. It's got that, like, smell of a interesting fruit. It looks like a boiled egg. That's what I thought. That it's, like, yellow and like this. It looks like a yellow eggplant, kind of. Are we just making it up? Y'all are doing a great job. I really thought there was gonna be an inside cheesecake layer, but there's not. It's just a donut. I think of guava flavor as just being like what my base thinks of as a base tropical flavor. That's how I feel too. I feel like I only ever have it in concert. It's like jalapeno guava or like pineapple guava or something like that. And so it just tastes like a good tropical donut, but I don't know how to confirm if it tastes exactly like a guava, but apparently Aaron did. I'm going to finish this donut. Anybody have any other questions about this weird donut? It's surprisingly good. Rachel is giving very confident sounding information, but that could all be made up. I'm glad we're all in 100% agreement we expected cheesecake on the inside of the cheesecake donut. Little green roundy, bigger than a golf ball, lot of big seeds, very goopy fruit. Is it goopy like, does it like stringy when you pull it out, or is it like you pour it? So presumably you're getting a lot of protein and a few vitamins from the weird donuts. Are you going to also have supper? You're not my mom. I probably actually not that much protein because it's vegan turkey. So I'm probably actually mostly just getting oil. Vegan turkey is usually like it's either gluten-based or sometimes it's soy-based, in which case I am getting protein. And vegan cheese, it can either be oil-based or based on nuts. So it really just depends. Can I still get one of those weird donuts, or is it too late? They're there till the end of the month. So you can get them till the end of the month, Mitch. Gluten is also protein. That is a good point. Gluten is also protein. Although, usually when you're making like gluten based processed items, they also have a lot of carrier oils in them. So they end up like being more on the fat side. So, yeah, essentially, I don't know what I'm eating and I don't ask questions. As long as it's vegan, I'm fine with it. And apparently, I am starting to learn my lesson about not agreeing to eat chocolate. So, I'm very unpicky though, outside of being vegan, which is like the most picky version in many parts of the world. That's actually what I loved about India, is that being vegan was just it was just like the tiniest bit more inconveniencing than normal food there versus here, where it's like it was only inconveniencing if I was picky about ghee. Meant I drank a ton of black tea because I couldn't do chai. And there's just so much chai drunken in schools because I worked in a schools and I worked in a laundry. And you just spend so much time drinking chai. But if you can't do milk, then you end up drinking black tea. And I'd be like completely wired because I'd have like so much black tea, because chai is cut with so much milk that it's way less caffeinated than like drinking the same volume of black tea. So, and then everybody goes and takes a nap in the afternoon when it's the hottest, and I can't go to sleep because every house that I visited for work and every meeting I was in, we all drank a bunch of chai and I drink black tea and I'm completely wired. So, how did I end up working at a laundry in India? So I worked for an international NGO. I was there essentially on a fellowship, and I was working for a environmental justice organization. And so I was really focused on permaculture and biodiversity. So I worked in a school teaching environmental education in like a girls' school to like 8th and 9th grade girls. I guess I also did some of the younger schools. And then I also worked with a laundry that is part of a social enterprise for women that were leaving sex trafficking. So they were victims of sex trafficking, and it was essentially like an economic empowerment program. But what I actually worked on was the control of all of the water. So industrial laundries produce tons and tons of water. And water can be a huge issue, especially in the monsoon seasons, at finding ways to manage that in India. And so what I worked on was actually like the planting and the permaculture around the laundry with the women that worked in the laundry in order to help control the wastewater flow. So one of my past lives, I would say that I really appreciated the cultural experience I got in India. I do not know if I left having contributed much. So the NGO I worked with was entirely led by local women, most of which were not literate. They were farmers that were really deep into environmental justice and permaculture. They run a huge seed saving bank in order to preserve biodiversity in the region that we were in. And it was phenomenal to be able to work with these women and see how they organize and, get the experience of working in a community. Like the laundry was particularly notable because women came from all over India because they had been victims of the sex trafficking site. So they all spoke so many different languages. And it was like a game of telephone to get anything done there, where you would be communicating with one woman who spoke 5 languages, but, she spoke maybe Marathi and a little bit of Punjabi, and then she would talk to the woman that didn't speak any Marathi, but that she spoke some Tamil and some Punjabi, and they'd translate from Tamil to English. And so it was just like a game of telephone. Because everybody spoke a bunch of languages, but the chances that they spoke all the languages in common, because there's like 80 official languages in India, and that's just official languages. There's even more dialects. So it was a really great cultural experience. I do not know if I would work for international NGO again, especially in a country like India that has a lot of cultural norms and expectations, especially when you're working with populations that have like undergone a lot of trauma, often related to their families of origin and their cultural history. And I just left appreciating the people that I met and the people that I met through my work, but I don't know if my work helped anyone. It made me actually more and more skeptical about the involvement of foreigners from rich countries in working on NGO work there. Actually, that was technically, I call it international NGO, but technically it was an Indian only NGO. And we were like, I think in the end, my fellowship was just providing income for the organization, which is like, it's a good hustle to have, but technically they weren't allowed to have foreign income come into the NGO. So it's complicated. We don't even need to get into it, but they do really good work. They have done a lot of the work to stop, to essentially in India, seed biodiversity is a matter of life and death. One of the most pivotal like tracking projects, which is how I got involved with this, was tracking farmer suicides. And a lot of farmers in India had gotten into massive amounts of debt with Monsanto, which is the maker of a lot of corn in the world. And Monsanto had patented these seeds and told all of these farmers that you would get a lot better crop yields if you just planted Monsanto seeds, and essentially take out liens on these lands that have been in for thousands of years in their families' farms, and then the yields don't end up working. And Monsanto, they're essentially, these farmers are in massive amounts of debt for these pesticide-resistant seeds in order to use these pesticides to have higher yields. And one of the big pieces of activism that the women that I worked with they just mapped farmer suicides. And a lot of farmers were dying by pesticide in order to get out of their debts so their family could continue to till the land. So yeah, big corporations are evil. I have opinions about patenting organisms, even if you're not the evil empire. Yeah. That there was a really interesting, I believe it was Planet Money this week. I think it only came out this week, and it was specifically about patenting genomes. And it was very fascinating to me because it was about human genomes, and a lot of it was around the BRCA test. It was very phenomenal reporting. I highly recommend listening to it if you're into podcasts. I think they also have a transcript if you prefer to read. But it was specifically around the lawsuit that essentially said you cannot patent the human genome. And it was fascinating to hear, as someone who at that, over a decade ago in my life, I was pretty involved with the activism around patenting GMOs. And it has devastating effects on it has devastating effects around the world on agriculture. And it isn't that GMOs there are people who feel that it is inherently bad or wrong to create genetically modified organisms in order to increase food yield, and that you should avoid, GMOs or whatever. The question for me had less to do with that and had more to do with the damages that were being wrought by corporations, who are the only ones usually that have the ability to have the patents for these GMOs on something that they, in the end, don't have control on. They were suing farmers on neighboring lands for having their patented canola, their rapeseed, because they're like, oh, you have some of our genetically modified, rapeseed on your land, even though that farmer has never, ever gotten seeds from Monsanto. And because guess what? Seeds carry on the wind. That's how nature functions. Anyway, we're really getting off track here. I was like, let's talk about how capitalism is terrible because of Black Friday. And then I was like, oh, actually, let's talk about how it's terrible because it wreaks havoc on the economy. And there are humans have been trying to genetically modify food for as long as we've been around. As long as we have been tilling land, we have been trying to crossbreed and, selectively make sure that we have the best seeds to produce the best crops. And I don't have the issues with that. I think that there's phenomenal things that have been done by research that have allowed us to grow crops in areas that previously had no arable land. But the practices of corporations that do these have real consequences, and they are having serious downstream ecological effects. So yeah, that's how I got involved with doing seed saving activism and working in a laundry in India. New theme of this live stream: fuck Monsanto. Yeah. It's great. They're not the only corporation. They are just the corporation that I particularly was knowledgeable and involved in their activism. But yeah, if you have the opportunity to look up the really great mapping work done by activists in India, they have actually looked at mapping essentially the real human impact of lives lost essentially due to Monsanto's business practices. So yeah. Capitalism is horrible because it wreaks havoc on the economy. Capitalism is also horrible because it wreaks havoc on ecologically. Pretty much everything's terrible. So, as someone from a high-risk group from that mutation, I also have some opinions. I would be really interested to hear people that listen to that and have any thoughts, because I kind of listened to it and was like, I had to take everything for face value. I didn't have any previous, if I listen to something like that on GMOs, I come in with a fair amount of background because I had been involved in this activism work and was pretty learned on it. When it comes to human genomes, I don't know anything. I still don't understand how the drug I put into my body every week works in any way. So, I listened to it and I was like, oh, this is very fascinating from an economic perspective. But Monsanto drove a lot of people off the land here. Yeah, it's such a... I think the really frustrating thing about it is that we have set up, particularly American agriculture, but agriculture in so much of the world, we have set it up to be unsustainable. And large corporations like Monsanto have found a way to exploit the fact that we have set up the system to be unsustainable, where we have an expectation that people are, just going to try to maximize profit from their land past the point of, and that they're willing to take out debt, at the beginning of the season in order and with the expectation that they'll pay it off, especially in the US with subsidies at the end of this. And it's very fascinating. So, yeah. Whew. Gnomes, drug gnomes, they do helping tasks. Wait, what is going on? Is that what we're going to genetically modify? Is drug gnomes? Oh, that's what my... You're explaining to me what my medicine is. Accurate, yes. Drug gnomes. That's what I shoot into myself every week. Oh. Even before we can till. Oh, are you talking about ways that we have been modifying organisms? Yeah, we have figured out that, if you want to create better versions of things, you put them next to each other and hope that they procreate. But yeah, whew. Very frustrating. Does anybody know more about the genome things? I work at a specialty pharmacy. Can confirm drug gnomes. So glad to hear it. Everyone is confident. It does something to my TNF. It inhibits it. That's what I know. I don't really know what TNF is. It's a receptor. I actually, I think the thing that's been frustrating for me this year is not knowing if I'm in a high-risk group or not. Because at first I was acting as though I was in this high-risk group because we knew so little, and they were saying anybody that's immunosuppressed. And I do take a TNF inhibitor, which is an immunosuppressant. It's not like the kind of suppressant that you take after you get an organ transplant, for example. That it's more low-key than that. It is less of an immunosuppressant than a lot of chemotherapy drugs are, for example. That being said, I am in a smaller class of people on this particular drug because I actually don't take it with methotrexate, which is a chemotherapy drug. And so the fact that I only take it by itself, at first we were acting, oh yes, you are immunosuppressed. But the evidence that we have actually shows that they are now using things like TNF inhibitors in patients that have COVID-19, and that they're not actually seeing worse results. That being said, it looks like I probably can catch it more likely. It's just been, I just would like to know, but I feel like by the time we know, the vaccines will be out. Like, by the time we have enough information to really know what kind of risk group I'm truly in, I don't know. Rirdle says, I've modified organisms. I mean, I most likely have as well. Like, I have definitely, like, attempted to breed crops, but I probably haven't successfully modified organisms, but. My doctor even wiggled some guidelines to get me a flu shot early this year. Anyone they could bend the guidelines for got it ASAP. Yeah, I think that's the, like, frustrating part, is that we just don't really know. Yeah, well, that's my feelings. If we can just modify organisms in our backyards, then why are we allowing multinational corporations to modify organisms to be resistant to their pesticides, and then have people take out massive amounts of debt and liens against their own land in order to till their land with these pesticides? And they have to use these resistant crops because if their neighbor uses these pesticides, then their crops will die. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm done. Everything's fine. Welcome to the rant about Monsanto live stream. Okay, well, we've hit the bottom of the hour. I don't really know what this live stream was, but we discussed why supporting small businesses is great if you have the means. Like, promo shout out, you can get this book, which I am gift wrapping. If you would like to send it to people, you can get it gift wrapped. Bourbon, non-alcoholic bourbon, is shipping. We do not, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to have a second restock of the Perna Colada before the holidays, which is a decaffeinated version, unfortunately. Anyway, you can get those things and more, like cat stickers, at shop.ohmydollar.com. And I am doing a Cyper Monday sale. So if you use the code Cyper Monday, then you get free shipping in the US. And if you are a patron, you get a even better discount. So check out Patreon to find that discount. So there we go. Apparently I just wrote Cyper Monday on the chat. So yeah, if you are, there was my spawn, sponsored by the Oh My Dollar shop. But I also did a thread on my Instagram and my Twitter about other great small businesses, including a lot of Black-owned businesses that are excellent to support if you are spending money. And if you are not spending money right now, which is just as valid, then please stay safe for the rest of 2020. Does anybody, I know everybody's thing this week was that they survived the week, but did anybody have like an exciting thing they're doing in the next week? We are doing what is the challenge in December? Someone tell me. Oh yes, it is put out the dumpster fire December is the challenge on the forums, and it essentially is, it's like get your shit together December last year, except it's more 2020 themed, which is like you identify the things you thought you were going to get done before the end of the year, and you either choose to extinguish the fire and just ditch them. You just guilt-free can let go of things that could not happen for reasons. Like, for example, I was going to do a certain amount of things in person this year that obviously didn't happen. I just get to ditch that, guilt-free. But it could be anything. It doesn't have to be something that you can't physically do, because just getting through 2020 is fine. Or you can choose to try to finish them off. And we are going to have a very cute kitten dumpster fire sticker for that one. So I would 100% recommend it. It is exclusive to that challenge, and you get it if you participate. And I think we're going to do 21 in 2021 challenges as well for next year. So if you haven't joined the 20 in 2020 challenges, there's still I'm shipping out the stickers for those next month for people that completed those challenges. So if you are possibly able to save $20 a month for 2020, 20% of your income, or $20,000, and you haven't joined the challenges yet and you want to get that sticker, you should come join, and badges. So Rural says, I'm going to do everything I can to pass a couple folks who got COVID at the end of the semester. You are doing the important work of academics right now. Thank you as a professor for just trying to pass people. That's all they need. Oh. Claire says, I will join because I require stickers and badges. If Rue from the forums is here, your stickers got returned today, so I need to figure out what is wrong with your address. They got sent like a month ago, so now they've gotten returned, so we'll figure out what's going on with them. But Latitude also requires stickers. Everybody requires stickers. Go crossbreed Monsanto crops for free to spite them. That's the problem. If you crossbreed a Monsanto crop, then guess what happens? They own part of the crop because they have a patent on that gene. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, sorry. We don't need to turn this into me just shouting about Monsanto. Also, I'm like 10 subscribers away from 500. So if you have other people that would like to subscribe to my channel, I would really like to hit 500 before the 14th anniversary of my YouTube channel, which is December 25th. So, yes, I would like to say that I've gotten 500 subscribers on YouTube in 14 years. Anyway, well, Rural, thank you for trying to get people past, and for breeding peppers. Latitude, good luck in emergency leaving school for the semester. I think it is the right decision, and I think it'll be the good decision. Mitch, thank you for ordering some Bourbon tea. Awesome. And everybody else's accounts, I guess, to subscribe. Is that really truly gaining subscribers? Not really, but I will I promise, if I hit 500 subscribers before the 14th anniversary, I will post a video before the 14th anniversary of this channel. I will post one non-live stream video. I promise. Everyone, take excellent care of yourself. Stay hydrated. And if you have one available, pet a cat. And if you have two available, pet two cats. Stay safe. I will see you all same time, same place next week. And hopefully I'll see you sooner on the Oh My Dollar forums. Bye.